struggling. I am still learning. I'm still adjusting. I'm not stable yet.
Okay.
But I'm learning every day.
Okay. So one thing I want to say about entrepreneurship is like, being an entrepreneur is like a dashboard. Just think of yourself as like a pilot. A
Yes.
lot of times people think it's just one knob, it's just one thing they have to get right. Actually, entrepreneurship requires us to be pulling different strings at the same time. Like everything has to be working, right? At the same time for us to actually see success. And that's why even when I do one on one, it's like we're looking at all of these areas. Like we're trying to look for the money, we're trying to look for excellence. Like, what is it? Operations? Is it customers? Is it marketing? Is it sales? Is it distribution? Is it partnerships? Is it business model? There are several things that might need to be tweaked. And what I'm finding is that, and I learned this as well the hard way, and that's why I'm calling people's attention to it. Is like it's a full dashboard of different, should I say, functional areas or structures that has to be in place. Now, some of those structures I would consider foundational structures, like just like a house. The structures, the work you have to do to dig deeper and build the foundation of your business. And when you're building the foundation, people don't see anything, right? People are, but the foundation you build is going to determine the weight you're able to put on that business, right? And it's going to impact what you do in the launch phase, would support your growth and scale stage, right? So that's one thing I want people to see, is that you're not doing anything wrong. The reality is that there might be so many things pulling at you, and the challenge would be, which one do I prioritize over the other? Which one is more important? So let me give you a few. How does that sound before I go on?
Yeah, I think you're right. Entrepreneurship is not a straight line.
Mm,
Just what you described, I think is right. I agree with what you have said.
yes. So I'm going to mention a few. Do you have a feeling of which string you need to pull or you need to invest in right now? Do you have a feel of maybe the top one or top two that you feel like requires
Yes.
immediate attention?
For me, I think what I need to invest on is marketing. I
Marketing.
know that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's good. That's good because we need awareness. So let me share part of the journey. I always call this phase as, it's like you're in a lab. Consider that you're in a lab, like science lab. It's an experiment, right? The phase of business model design actually has to go through a test cycle before you scale up marketing, because you may be trying to market something that the market itself, they don't want. Because again, entrepreneurship is something that requires so many pieces, so many things moving around. But one of the reasons why, if I want to talk to people about marketing, before we invest time, because marketing, I have a framework for marketing as well, but before I encourage people to spend time or invest in marketing, I always want us to look at what results have we generated from the programs you're trying to market already. Like, do we already know, as the people that we've taken those programs through, have they given us feedback? Are there changes that needs to be put in place? Is the messaging right? Right? It's Is it what people say they want? Have we tested it? Has it worked? Has it achieved the desired result? Because once you start putting marketing behind it, you have to also say, is this my marketing to scale, or is this my marketing to test? Because you can do both, right? You can put in restricted or controlled marketing message out there to only a limited number of people just to get feedback. So which phase are you in? Is it you've probably tested it, but do you need to
Yes, I
test
think
it
I have
more?
tested it with quite a number
Okay.
So I think what I need to do is to scale.
Okay. So let's look at that. Can you describe the two groups of people that loved it the most? Because that way in your marketing, instead of still marketing to everybody, if you've already tested it with this group of people and you've seen you know so much results. So let me give you an example. Maybe busy women, working women, their demographic, right? Like stay at home. Like what if you know that certain types of people value it most? Because there's a matrix of there are people who want what you have, but they cannot afford it. There are people that cannot afford you and they don't want it and they cannot afford it. There are people who can afford it and they want it. There are people who want it but cannot afford it. There's a matrix. If you draw a matrix like four, like X and Y axis, four quadrants, the people that can afford you and want it, right? They are the people you want to go after. Because no matter how much, even what it is that we want to serve, the people we want to serve, at the end of the day, if you're in business, if you perceive that they cannot afford it or they don't want it, then we have to adjust. We have to adjust. Otherwise, we are marketing to the wrong people. Now, there are other things that we might need to do if we find out there's a group of people that really want it, but the price point is challenging to them. Then that's another thing in the business model design phase, where you can look at maybe group programs or courses or things that you can prescribe that they can do on their own, that doesn't take a lot of your own personal efforts or hours that you have to put into it. So there are different things you could do in the business model phase. So and thank you, by the way, for allowing, being here and allowing us to have this conversation. I just sent the ping out now. So basically, how would you describe the key people that are falling in love with what you do and they love the results?
Okay. Yeah, I think for me, people that have seen positive results and that have really appreciated what I do are women older than 40. In
Mm,
fact, they are excited once I pitch it to them. They are happy. However, not all of them would, buy into the idea. But those are people that, in fact, before I finish landing, before I say 2 minutes into what I'm doing, they already appreciate it. They see the need for it. Those category of people are the people.
that's beautiful. So have you decided to narrow your marketing to them?
Yeah, so that's what I'm working on now. I'm working on, like, I just started going to the gym now. I know there are lots of and in fact, testing my hypothesis is elderly people and mature people that are there. So I know that, yes. So I just want to, because I'm in a new environment, so I'm trying to connect with local groups. Sometimes the people you're looking for online, they might not be necessarily online. That's what I am discovering.
Mm,
Yeah. So I'm discovering that I might have been pitching my message to the wrong people, the people
wow.
that love it, but they don't have time for it. Because
Wow.
healthy lifestyle is sometimes it takes you to pause, pay attention to it, and then redirect your life. But these
Wow.
are people that they love it, they appreciate it, but they do not have that time because they're already entangled.
Hmm.
They're already very, very busy. So they just
Wow.
love it from afar.
Right. So basically what you're finding is that the service you're delivering, several conditions have to be true.
Yeah.
They have to love it, they have to be willing to invest in it, and the investment is not just financial. There's
Yes.
actually time commitment on their own side because it's a lifestyle change they have to make.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's incredible because that even narrows down the type of people you can work with. Because if you find those people, perhaps you may actually even increase your price.
Absolutely. Yes, I have done that. I've increased my price now.
Good for you. That's good because what's happening here is if your product or your service is only targeted to a particular, like it's a rare breed of people, it's not, this is not mass market now. Because if it's mass market, you can lower price and you can push volume. But if what you're saying is that you've realized that certain things has to be true, this is like a rare species of people. The age they're in, they've seen life, they're at a stage where maybe they're not giving too much time to their kids, because as women, those stages where our kids are young, we're giving them our full self, we're not giving enough time to ourselves. So maybe these women are at a stage where they're ready to invest in themselves. They want to give back to themselves and they're getting ready for the future, the next phase of their life. So they're ready. But not just ready financially, they also have to be ready psychologically, emotionally, and then they must be willing to do the work to consume your product and your service. What that means is you're looking for a species of people that is not common. And because of that need, increasing your price would be a way to, because now this leads me to another question around your, maybe sales plan or your target plan. Because what will help you would be that and welcome to the, I see more people joining the stage, and I think we just lost Mrs. Fabi. She'll probably try to join back. Okay, you're back, Beth, now. Awesome. And I'm using the opportunity to welcome other people to the room as well. Welcome, Lawrence. Welcome, Mr. Olufemi. You're welcome to join us on stage if you have questions and if you want insights into your own business and you want to pretty much take advantage of the consulting insight from me while we're here. So, like I was saying, Ms. Buki, like this group of people, if you were to do a plan and say, this month, this is my plan, right? This is my revenue plan or my sales plan. This is how much I want to earn. And if you look at your price, you now have to ask yourself, how many people do I need to bring into this program to reach my plan? And if you identify that number, then the next thing that people usually do, it takes a while to master it, is like your conversion rate. So if you know that you're only converting certain percentage, then you want to say, okay, how much, how what do you need to invest in your marketing? A lot of times we just go into marketing without seeing that we want return on that marketing. Like the return on investment has to mirror your sales goals. Awesome. Yeah, the other thing that I talk about in marketing, particularly, and I don't know if you've heard me say this before, is this idea of you want an audience, the right audience. To your point, you said you're going to gym. You already know they're investing. Those are people already in that mindset. So that's a brilliant one. In terms of they're already into gym, they must be thinking about, results. They're results oriented people, right? The next thing then is you need to find the right audience. Where is your audience, whether online, whether LinkedIn. And then the next thing around marketing, the framework I have and use, is you want to get their attention. What are you going to do to get their attention? So if you're going to gym, it might be a flyer with a certain type of message, because the third thing is message. So what vehicle are you going to use to get the attention of the audience? And that vehicle looks different depending on what platform you're going to. That's why, let's say in the world of events, people do business cards, right? Long before COVID made us all go digital, right? Like the vehicle of introducing and getting people's attention was, handing their business card to prospects. Here's my business card. And on that business card, it will say, this is who I am. This is what I do. If you're interested in what I do, you can reach us at this number or this website, or you right? The same thing is true online, but in a different way. It's all the flyers we put together. It's all the the way the stories and the reels and all of those things. They're just designed to get attention. And the moment you get people's attention, you also need to say what's the message. And all of these things needs to be engineered. That's why I said at the beginning that it's a test. Just creating one message and test and putting it out there, and if you don't get the result, don't be afraid to pull that message and try another thing. I think that's one of the challenges I see people have is we assume that everybody absorbs messaging the way we absorb. There are different ways that different types of people learn or understand. Some people are visual, some people are, they listen, some people have to read, some people have to read the content. So that's why, trying different things is the way to go. I tried all kinds of things as well. So how does that sound to you?
Yeah, it sounds well. I think that's the stage where I'm at. I'm probably struggling at this stage that you just explained now,
Okay,
So
what's the
I'm
biggest
really in
struggle?
that
Is it the
phase.
message or the attention or both?
No, number one, access to this group of people that I want, you know, and then the right messaging and really converting them to sales for me.
Okay. So okay, that's good. And again, welcome those joining us. You're welcome to join on stage as well. Miss Buki has been the one willing to engage because I love my rooms to be interactive. So I invite people to come up on stage if you have a question or if you want to be a part of the conversation. Awesome. So let's look at the audience because there are different things before you think about the message and the attention. The audience also drives what you have to do. So let's pick the gym that you're going to. If you've identified maybe 5 gyms within your region, your territory,
Yeah.
you might go in there. And I know many people do this, local businesses do this. They ask the owner of the gym, could I drop my flyer here?
Yeah.
The other thing is that you might also consider grocery stores that serve specialty like like health conscious, like organic stores or fitness stores and fitness, like the specialty, because again we're looking your service is really meant for a unique we are looking for a needle in a haystack, a type of people that they are ready to invest in their own health, right? So broaden your search. Gym is one. Identify maybe a couple of those. Identify health food stores. And then maybe you may need to design a physical flyer, like a card, a postcard.
Yeah.
In a more advanced space, like people who have businesses who have a higher budget, what I would have recommended is mails, post mails. Usually there's some packages and some tools where you can work with post office, or there are actually some companies that they already have addresses of people living by zip codes, and you bring in your materials. You remember, so when you open your mail, all those junk mails, those things that come with the mail that you're like, I don't need this, right? But you usually take a glance at it before you trash it. Like, we don't just trash mail. That moment is the attention. The only reason we trash it is because it's not of interest, but it works. Because when that mail gets into the house of those people that they've been thinking that they need help, they are going to follow through on the message. So it works. It's a conversion. You might send 5,000 out, maybe 100 convert. It just depends on how it converts. So, but this time around, you're not automating it because there are automated things that big businesses use, right? There are big major companies that this is all that they do, direct mail, all of those things, right? So but if you want to do it, sample your region, look at health food stores, but then talk to the owners if you could drop your business card or your flyer. And if you wanted to take it a step further, negotiation, right? On that flyer, you could make it specific per gym and put a code, a discount code there. And you could put a date. You could put a like a if used by certain date, then you get 20% discount. That way you also know which gym is converting more. Now there are also some times where some people strike some deals for referral. They give some, some gyms might make money where in their gym they might have some snacks or some drinks that the vendor works something out. They put it there, they sell it, they get some commission. So it just depends on how sophisticated you want this to be. But at a minimum, maybe a flyer or a business card, putting it at the table, the registration table, and then seeing what happens.
Okay.
Make sense?
Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much.
No, you're welcome. I mean, happy, happy to help. And then online, I'll still say online also still has huge potential for what you're trying to do.
Okay.
It has potential. Now, let me ask, what platforms, going back to audience, the audience type, what platforms are you currently investing in to reach this group of people?
Yeah. I use Facebook and Instagram.
Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. And I'm also on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Right. I think they're on LinkedIn, but the messaging style, if you're on LinkedIn, trying to reach these people might be different,
Yeah.
right? So that might be the thing. Like the messaging style might be different for LinkedIn versus Instagram. And also, do you do paid ads or is just organic at this point?
Organic.
Organic. Yeah. If it is organic, you might have to, instead of waiting for the people to come to you, you might have to go to them. So you might have to, you could find maybe health food, and like follow health food companies, follow trainers, because you want to follow people that the people you're trying to reach are also following.
Mm. Yeah.
So if you follow trainers, already the people following trainers are your potential clients and customers, right?
Yeah.
Like the people following, like the follower, you know, if you can, if those people following health food providers, that means they're already interested in health.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those following fitness instructors, they're already interested in their health.
Yeah.
What other, right? Look at shows, exercise shows, people already consuming those type of things. They're the types of people you want to narrow. And then here's what you're going to do. You're going to engage on those contents.
Mm.
So this is like the elbow, like organic way of engaging with potential people, because those people are already have a strong following. They're going to put certain messages out there, and at the very bottom you see other people saying, wow, nice, yes, they might even be asking questions. And then if you engage in that space, all of a sudden they might be checking your profile out, but you need to have optimized your own profile as well. Your profile, is it your company profile you use on Instagram or your own personal?
I use my personal and I also have my company. But
O-
then I don't have a lot of followers on the company. So most times I try to post on both. I actually notice a lot of people check out my profile much more than before. But how that would translate to sales, I don't
okay,
know.
we're living in different times
Yeah.
when you are your company and you had a message, right? And this is true even on LinkedIn, that more people want to engage with another human being than a company. So this is where you have to decide. And I'll tell you what I had to do as well, because I think a lot of people wrestle with this, right? Because in previous world, before COVID and all of that, 3 4 5 years ago, companies, brands, all of those things, the invisible brands, that have grown over the years, they were the people that were attracting followers. But today, it's the world of influencers. So, and people believe like a company is not alive. Like it's not breathing. Like they don't know who they are talking to. If they're asking a question, it's very robotic. They don't have a feeling like they're talking to another human being. For all they know, a robot could be answering those messages, right? So, particularly small businesses, You are the face of your business. People want to see you because you are representing the business. And at the end of the day, it's you that is still going to deliver the service. So the more they can get comfortable with you, the more they can know about you, the more you can grow your business. Because at this stage, it's you. So you want to consider what, and you've already shared it, that you notice that more people are visiting your personal profile than your company page, correct? You said that.
Yes.
Okay, so if I were to go to that page now, what would people see? Or even people listening now, if they were to go to your personal, when they go to your personal page, would they be immediately able to tell what you do and who you serve?
Yes.
Awesome.
Should be.
Awesome. So you're already walking along that line. I think just doubling down, like not stopping, because sometimes we hesitate. We have data, like you've just shared insights with me. You've made some observations. Sometimes we have that data. Our intuition tells us we may need to change certain things. But sometimes we're looking for permission because it might contradict what other people are saying. And you're like, but this is what I'm experiencing. But everybody says I should open a company page, I should do this, and right? So I always say trust that insight. Trust it, because it's a combination of you, your brand, and your followers. And that combination, somebody else trying to sell what you're selling, it may not be the same scenario that person is undergoing as well. Yeah. So I would encourage you to just lean in or go deeper in embody your work and to represent your work, and just go harder. If you already have seen that more people want to engage with your own personal brand, and then you can always connect, like CEO, founder of art, and then you tag on your company profile. So when they come to you, they engage with you, they can still click on your company profile through you and learn more about what it is you're doing. But at that point, they know the connection between you and your brand. Awesome.
Thank you.
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, so few action items, because one thing I want to do with these sessions Fridays is I want to kind of see people move forward and see progress, and then see, because for me, what I've observed, okay, is that online people are everywhere, and they're taking on so much information coming from different experts all over the place, but they're not subjecting themselves to a particular path or a journey, right? So if you're going to California, you need a roadmap and you need to travel on that journey. But I feel like sometimes they're taking 10 roadmaps. They're listening here, they're listening there, they're listening, and then confusion sets in because they don't have a guide, they don't have a coach that is saying, keep going, you're almost there, turn right. Okay, now that you're here, what's the next thing, right? And I feel that's what more people need today. But I don't know if people realize it yet, because I'm seeing people everywhere. I'm everywhere as well. But I'm realizing that we actually need to set people on a path, which is why, in terms of my programs, it's like 6 weeks, 6 steps. Because if you follow those steps, at the end of those steps, there are outcomes, expected outcomes. But I'm realizing that that same 6 weeks, somebody could invest it, for example, on Clubhouse or on other platform, consuming content, but not have transformation in 6 weeks because they're not under a guide. They're not following a particular roadmap. They're just jumping from one room to the other. And so that's one thing I want to fix and I want to correct. And that's why, the Toyin Mesiri Academy, like, aside from just my Trade with Africa work, even just business development, business model, customers, marketing, these are foundational things we have to put in place for us to scale. So that's what I have observed, is that people are not on a growth path. They're in activities and motion, but they're not getting the outcome, because for the next 5-6 weeks, if we don't change behavior, if we don't apply certain new principles, are we really moving forward? That's what I've observed. It does. And the way I've been able to filter all of that is because of my background. It's because as a solutions architect, right? I'm trained to take in incredible data and make sense of it. Like, we used to do requirements gathering, customer this, right? And it might take us 6 months of interviewing all the stakeholders, but we will now gather all kinds of data points. But the executives want a summary report. Like they don't have time to consume all the data we've consumed. So in a way, that's part of the training that I have is after listening and listening and listening to so many people, you want to prescribe. You want to say, okay, this is the roadmap. This is where we're going. Let's all head in that direction. Otherwise, we're all still consuming data. And if people cannot distill that data into actionable results, then it's noise at the end. And if after 6 or 12 months, people don't see transformation in their own life, then what happened?
Give up.
Exactly. We don't want people doing that, right? And it's just, I mean, it's because even for me, I had to spin my wheels because of all of I fell into that vortex too, right? Activity, 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 open, 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 right? I was like, no, business is actually structure. The more structure you can put around your processes, the more foundational structures, the more pillars you can put in place, then you can control and manage them. Otherwise, whoa, it's a lot. So hopefully, like this is the first in the series. Next week, what I want to talk about, if it doesn't change, is the mindset of an entrepreneur. Next week, Friday. Because what I've also observed is that there are certain mindsets, scenarios that, okay, there's the mindset that keeps entrepreneurs from doing what they should do. And there's a particular type of mindset we must embody. Let me give an example, just as a taste of next week. People go through things like pricing. How do I price my product? A lot of times, the courage to price is not necessarily what the product costs, but it's a perceived value. It's a perceived value. That's why you have the same sneaker made by or sold by two different companies. It's the same thing, but one is 10 times the price of one. Why? It's not really about the cost of the product, it's the perceived value, and perceived value can be manipulated. Branding, messaging, all of those things. Many entrepreneurs don't invest in that, right? And it's all about the mindset is you can control how you're perceived in the marketplace. You actually can control it. And that's why people invest in all of these things. But many times there's another mindset, which is the opposite, where some entrepreneurs will be like, no, I don't have to do all of that work. My product is effective. And anybody that tastes it will know that my product is effective. So why do I have to market and brand and do all of those things? You see, there's another mindset like that, like, oh, people should take me, this product is wonderful. So people should just come. People should just come, right? That's another mindset. So, there's imposter syndrome. Can I charge this? How do I price my services? How do is this self-worth? Sometimes people, tie their self-worth to their service, and it shouldn't be. So all of those things, next week I look forward to bringing that, and I like it to be more of a discussion because I also want to learn what other people feel about those things. So I want it to be a conversation. Yeah.
Interesting. I've learned a lot about pricing,
Mm-hmm.
um, and especially there's a service I render which is meal planning.
Mm-hmm.
And meal planning is actually a very technical work. That if I need to do a meal plan for a family of, let's say, four, it will take me nothing less than 7, 8 hours of hard work to do.
Mm.
And I discovered that I don't charge the right price, and then people do not even value it. I've done it free of charge to so many people, and they just abandon it.
Mm.
And it takes me hours to do it. So I've learned, I had to learn in a very big way that, in fact, that's going to be one of the most expensive service I'm ever going to render, because at a point I had to look at it myself that I had to sit down and ask myself, how long does it take me to, come up with this meal planning,
Mm-hmm.
and then how much am I worth per hour? And then by the time I sat down, I discovered I wasn't charging at all. So it's going to be the most expensive service I'm ever going to render, even much more expensive than one-on-one coaching right now for me, because I discovered that when people don't even pay for the real service, then they don't value it.
Mm. Okay,
You
there are
know?
several things you just said.
Mm,
There are different ways to undo what you just said. There are different things happening all at the same time.
yeah.
Let me try and break it down. One is that you marketed a service that maybe people could have thought that it was a product.
Mm,
What I mean by that is they might have assumed that this is something you have ready made. It's like a template, you're just giving it to them. If you don't explain to your clients and customers what goes into what they are buying from you, the
yeah.
perceived value is not reflected. Is not reflected.
I actually do. I think the problem is from me.
Okay, explain please.
Yeah, so what I mean is, before I can do a meal plan for a family, for instance, I will have to even ask them what are the kind of foods they like, what are and then it will vary from family to family. So, I mean, they know that I am creating it personally for them. But then I present it as though maybe it's out of excitement for me, or maybe because I'm very passionate about this. I just want to see people change. I just put in all my effort and I do it. And most of them, because I didn't charge what it's worth, they don't even think is that valuable, and
Right.
they don't. Most people don't act on it. Very few people have acted on it,
Right.
and those were, yeah,
And I think the ultimate solution could be having this automated where people will build it themselves. Where you the same logic that you use to make that selection and present to them,
okay,
actually giving them a list and letting them create it themselves, empowering them to create it themselves. And it may require maybe some programming or some
yeah,
w- choices on website. And this is what drives a lot of the apps, right?
mm-hmm.
Like food apps where you select your it asks you all kinds of questions in terms of, do you like chicken, do you have like this, do you like that, like a lot of these things have also been automated in a way where you know it's logic. You feed it
Yeah.
what you want, and then it comes out with recommendations, and then you can
Yeah,
still
so I've
remove.
seen those kind of apps.
Hmm.
However, the difference in the one I'm talking about now is when you now need a particular outcome, a particular health outcome,
Yes,
it's different. You
I
can't
agree.
even.
I agree. I agree. Which is where there are different. This is where business model comes in, where you can then design multiple products out of this particular delivery, where there's an entry point, do it yourself, and then you make the one that would require you to work harder premium. So
Yeah,
people will have to, you know, appreciate that premium. You give them options because
okay,
people also like options. So you tell them option A, do it yourself. I give you all I give you this material. You pick. After you pick, you might bring it to me. I'll approve it. So they would do the work of digging through it to find what they want. You just say, wow, nice, this is probably the calculation, these are the calories that you would, this will help you. Okay, that could be option one. You have a particular pricing for that. Then the next upgrade will be, I will do that work for you. Because the interesting thing you might find is that The same people that would say think it is easy, when you give them all of that for information, but you give them the option, they might come back to you and say, I took a look at it, I realized it's a lot of work. I'll upgrade. I'll upgrade.
Yeah, you're right.
So don't just keep them into the premium, because it is premium given the hours that it takes you to come up with that solution. Give them the option of entry point. Let them play around with it. After they play around it, they will appreciate the premium better.
That makes sense.
Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So because a lot of that's why a lot of these decision points of launching, growing, and scaling, we need to take emotion out of it. You understand? That's what I'm saying. That's why a lot of times people say, Tony, you're so serious and everything. Because at the end of the day, remove sentiments, because when we wrap emotion, we've worked so hard for people may not value what we're doing. We feel this, all of these things. I'm like, no, no, no. The first thing is, people don't owe us and we don't owe people. This is about business. I'm creating value and I want value back. It's a value exchange. If I give you value and I tell you this is the value I want back, but before we can make that statement as an entrepreneur, we need to have done a lot of research. And like I said, lab, it's an experiment. We need to test it out, because if we are solving just in our own bedroom, in our own domain, we're making lots of assumptions about the world. You understand? You're making assumptions about people whose reality and day-to-day way of being and thinking is completely different from me, from mine. So whatever I bring to the marketplace, I have to test it in the marketplace, and I have to seek feedback from the people I'm solving it for. Until that time, everything is theoretical. But I have noticed that we are so assured, because in our consciousness, we've created the best product. The people must need it. They must want it. We want to shove it down, and people sometimes, it doesn't work. The other thing that we don't also do is patience. Transformation, change management, bringing a new product to the marketplace, for adoption to grow, it takes time. And that time is not just time of sitting back and watching. No, it's months and years of repeating the same message and tweaking that message, or tweaking it here and there, and being consistent, showing up every single day for years. People are not ready for that. So we think the day we post a flyer and we say, hey, we have a new solution, this website was made for you, we expect people to rush in. Maybe 5-10 years ago, when there weren't options. In today's world, what haven't people seen? Every day they are being bombarded by, this is the best thing to help you, this will solve you. I'm a coach everywhere. Right? So, and that's where disappointment sets in. You've done all the work, you put it out there, and then the anticipated reaction, we don't get it. And I say, keep pushing, keep asking questions, just see it as a lab. You're testing things out, you're engaging with the market, they're giving you feedback, you take the answers back, you tweak, you come back, you tweak, you come back, until you find what works. Now, if you find what works for a demographic, the other mistake that people make is they assume it's always going to work with other groups of people. I say, nope. Just because it's worked in one country or it worked in one city, it doesn't always translate. Let me give an example. In retail, you think about Texas versus Wyoming or any of this, or Utah. The same food doesn't sell in the same state because the eating habit is different. Women's size in clothing is different. In Texas, you can sell 22. In certain places, you can't sell more than 14. Imagine if you now distribute 22 to all states in the US. It doesn't work. Or another option, you want to sell swimsuits, and in the middle of January, you're taking it to Michigan. No, you take it to Florida. So at the end of the day, even when you find a solution that works for a certain group of people, let's not make assumption that is always going to be true for for everybody. It doesn't. You know, I mean, and coming from retail, that's why we say all retail is local. The chicken, the types of meal that people eat, the spices that they use, the way they want to look or dress, the lotions and potions, all of the things they buy, it's different city to city, state to state. And the companies that get it right, they're the ones growing bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's tough to scale so the same solution to everybody. So yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I think you're right. I would implement some of the ideas you're sharing. Yeah, and I think the point I'm also taking away is that consistency,
Yes.
because yeah, that's
Yeah.
for me that's a tussle.
Okay. Okay, let me talk about that because it's also tied to mindset in a way. And the way I'm going to talk about this is when you, and particularly because of your profession, right? When you know a drug works and it's going to do exactly what you said it's going to do, and you've tested it in the lab and you've seen the result, and there is 99.9% chance that it works, the efficacy has been tested. If you're a drug manufacturer with that type of data, the mindset you will use to market it is it's you are going to push that product with more intensity. You understand? You're going to, and it's going to have more impact. You're going to push it with so much passion that it's that passion and this, should I say, spirit with which you would put those things out. Anybody reading that message will latch on. But if you put something out and you say, uh, then you're going to get results.
Yeah.
Because I have done work for years where I say trade with Africa as a clarion call, and I've had people from all over the world would book their own plane tickets. They don't know me, but they'll book their own plane tickets. Okay, they'll book hotel in a town they don't know just to come and hear, just to attend my event. Why? Because the messaging is clear and the passion, like, you don't want to miss this. Like this you don't want to miss this. Like, you see what I'm saying? It's different from, oh, come if you can, I'm here. That doesn't move people to action. It doesn't move people. It might move people that see you, that know you, that love you, but it doesn't move people from far away places to respond to your clarion call. And that's
But
the
now, Tony, my question, sorry to cut
no,
you
please,
because
you go on.
I like what you're talking about. Now the question now is, as an entrepreneur working all by yourself, all alone, that kind of tenacity for you to have it day in, day out is where the challenge is for me.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be, for someone like you, I think I see you as a soldier. You just keep going and going and going. For me, there are days going, and then there are days I'm just like, oh, you know, I'm just tired. So I've worked for Novartis before, multinational, and I've seen this thing you're talking about. I've seen it real play. You just keep saying the same message every day to everybody, everywhere, day in, day out, and you see the result. However, there are, it's like a structure. You're going to, there are reporting systems. So that alone will push you because you have to give daily reports. You have to tell, I mean, there are people watching you and monitoring every consultation call you do and things like that. Now, as an entrepreneur, you're working all by yourself. And that's why, for me, I think entrepreneurs need community of, If there's anything I am looking for, that's what I'm looking for. Most of these things we hear so much information, we have heard it before, but then to put in the work day in, day out, that's where the challenge is for me. You understand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's part of that mindset of an entrepreneur
Okay.
is that we need to know nobody's going to do this for us. Like nobody's coming. Nobody's going to do this for us. And that's why for me, I couldn't do what I'm doing one leg in, one leg out, which is what most people do. You stay in the comfort of, corporate, and then you do other things. Like this is a side gig for most people. It's not a side gig for me. I quit my job to do this full time. So it has to work. So that's another mindset. Like this has got to work. It might not work in its original form. So when I left, what I thought people needed or what I was going to do is not what I'm doing today. Do you understand? That's why we have to let the market guide us and God guide us. I came in gun blazing. Let's do this. Let's do that. The world is trading at this level. Let's go. But what I met out here was a lot of immaturity in the landscape. Not at the level I was committed to and used to seeing. So, what did I learn? The landscape taught me, like, Toyin, you're telling us to fly. Please, we are still trying to crawl, build, grow. Okay. So over the last couple of months, I've shifted to meet the market where the market is, because I can't impose myself on the market. So that's why this kind of Toyin Mesiri Academy is coming out of that realization that, okay, trade with Africa, we've done it. People that are mature enough, they can go in there and start connecting and buying and selling. But there are so many more people we have to help mature over the next maybe 5 years into a level that they can benefit from all this other work. That's my own, right? But guess what? A realization that nobody is coming. And when I say it, I mean, we know it, but I'm saying there's something else that kicks in. So we rest when we need to rest. So I'm not saying keep going indefinitely. We need to listen, we need to take care of ourselves, we need to rest, but we have to ride the horse, ride it to the promised land. I don't know. So that's it. Like, and let me be honest and transparent. The same, it's like this is me. Even when I was in corporate, that's the same way. If you give me one assignment, I will drill it down. They used to give me probably everything people will be avoiding to do. It might take 2 years to do one project, 18 months. But Tony will stay for it 18 months. So by training in a way as well, right? The larger multi-million dollar projects is what I used to handle, like SAP, transformation, change management. Those projects, you can't do it in 3 months. It's an 18 months project, SAP. So in a way, maybe we can say I had training to take a project that is going to take 18 months. So say your marketing plan needs to be executed over the next 18 months, not 3 months, not 2 months, not 2 weeks. Let's just say your 18 months marketing plan, or let's just even say 12 months. Okay? If you think that way, that over the next 1 year, by this time next year, I want to have achieved certain results. What do I need to do over the next 18 months to achieve those results? It's actually why I launched this new program for next month. I'm calling 10x business growth. Why? As entrepreneurs, we are caught up in the weed and the detail every single day, day in, day out. Everybody is. Every single person. And I'm saying maybe we need to take a moment, not just to work in our business, but on. What if we were to ask ourselves, what do I need to do to grow my business 10x? How long will it take me to grow it 10x? What would I need to look like in all the functionality? What would need to change in my marketing? What would need to change in my sales? What would need to change in my distribution? What would need to change? What will I need to change? That's what I'm saying. Is that the moment we ask those types of questions, it forces us to start behaving differently. right? So I know for a fact it's not easy, but maybe if we were to stretch our planning into immediate results, like, we're judging ourselves by now versus maybe we're actually sowing seed that will bear fruit in 12 months, a year from now. Who knows? That the people you're actually messaging today, that see you today, that it's maybe a year from now, they become an actual customer. So that's one of the things they call sales cycle. Certain businesses have shorter cycles, but in today's digital, with the digital disruption going on out there, right? People particularly in sales, they are not getting the right result. Let me give you a case in point. I got a call from a friend today, and it was asking me to help him with something, but he started with towing. We in the world are not for profit. We've been like 2020, donations went down by over 80%. I mean, just this afternoon, this was a call, right? Donation went down by 80%. So guess what? I pulled myself from that. I'm now working for a friend of mine, helping him manage his business because he's from that world, right? That is incredible. So I'm saying that everybody has been disrupted. Every industry has been disrupted. Not for profit as well. I knew they were disrupted, but not to that level. 80% reduction in donations. That data was scary. The same thing has happened to even sales. The things they used to do before, 2-3 years ago, that they would just say, oh, buy, 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 everybody will buy. You tell people maybe 9 more times or 10 more times. People will still hesitate. With that information and that awareness, I think we also have to give people more patience, and we need to start realizing that the outcomes we desire, how long will it take us to actually reap all of these things? I mean, it's a question. These are the mindsets conversation I said next week we want to have, because I'm pulling it into that 6 weeks program. We have to tackle all of these things and come back to reality and look at how the world is not how we want the world to be, but how it is. Because I think today we are not still facing like, we don't want to believe the reality right now. But we're living in a different world, and we have to be different, and we have to manage expectations as well. Does that make sense? Did that help? I don't know. Sometimes I'm so I just shoot straight, and I know sometimes many people may not be ready for that. I don't know, but I think I owe it to particularly my member. So here's why Clubhouse for me has been, I've been hesitant, is because in private coaching one-on-one, these are the truths that I deliver, right? In private coaching, these are the truths that I deliver, and people pay me for me to get them the results. But when I'm on Clubhouse, I don't think people are ready for the raw truths. So anyway, I've always kept it more social here, but we'll see. I think that might change a little bit. Okay, I'm looking at time. Let me do a quick reset. So, welcome to the Achieve Your Greatness Club. I actually wanted to change the name, but instead of creating a new club, I just decided to keep my old club for this. And we're talking about launching, growing, and scaling your business. I actually have a new academy I just launched, toyinmesiri.academy. That's actually the website address. You copy and paste it into a browser. And basically helping businesses, entrepreneurs and business owner, right, to adopt principles that the biggest brands in the world use to grow and scale their business. So I welcome you, Michelle. I see you. Let me invite you to the stage. Who else? Mr. Olufemi, you've been here. Let me send you an invite. If you are able to join us, please do. I always like the room to be more of a conversation. And as you've listened to myself and Miss Buki talk, what I've tried to prescribe to her are solutions specific to our own business that she could use and apply immediately. And if any of those things we've shared, I'm sure it's given other people insights as well, things they could learn. But like I shared before, I feel like we need to put people on a journey of their own transformation and give them a roadmap to where they're trying to go. So I'm going to wait for people to join the stage. If nobody joins the stage, then I'm going to call it a wrap. Like, that's really how my rooms are. I want to have a conversation. I don't just want to talk to myself. When I'm doing classes or master class, I come with, 2, 3 hours of, deep dive information. But when I come to Clubhouse, I really just want to have a conversation. So you're welcome to join the stage to ask me any questions you have or just share what challenges you might be facing. But if not, then maybe I'll be closing the room. Maybe this will be a 5-minute check. If you're growing your business or scaling up, there are several things you have to do. I always say that look at the foundational structures that you're putting in place. Make sure that they can bear the weight. So if you want to build a 5-story building or 10-story building, or make sure the foundational infrastructure that you're putting in place matches and can sustain the weight of your business. I always say, like, business is really about structure. It's about processes. It's about things you're putting in place, from working with vendors to working with customers. There's so much around it. In fact, yesterday, my newsletter, the title was 20 things you need to change or adjust in your business to actually grow your business. I think when we want to grow our businesses, there are several levers we might need to pull or push. It's like a dashboard, just like you see a pilot in a plane. There's several things that you need to be looking at all at the same time. It's your customers, it's your business model, it's your marketing plan, it's your sales plan. It's all of these things. It's your, there's just so many things one has to manage every single day. I just got a message. Okay. So that's it. It's going to be a wrap for the day. If nobody wants to come up to ask me any questions, it's been great to have this. So a few updates. I've now decided that every Friday, same time, 12 noon Central Time, that's 1 p.m. Eastern Time if you're in the US, I'll open this room. There are a lot more resources at toyinyumesiri.academy. And if you're interested in Trade with Africa, it's our sister platform, what we've decided to do was, it's like it's the next level, because the market has also taught me that, people are really at this moment struggling with operationalizing their business, running their business, and I want to serve them where they're at. But we're also working with groups of people to scale up in terms of exports and trade, and we have a different platform for that. As example, yesterday, I held a training for fashion entrepreneurs in Africa, and we're designing a program for them as well. So if you happen to be interested in getting involved in the fashion business, like the business of African fashion, do reach out. That's something that we're able to help with. Check out Nazaru as well, my company. And I'm up and about on various platforms: LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. But where the work actually happens is in our Trade with African Network community, or now toyinyumesiri.academy. The academy is for entrepreneurs and business owners, and then the Trade with Africa are for those who want to engage in international trade as well. So it's been a pleasure hosting this room and keeping this space today. Every week for about an hour and a half, or maybe 2 hours if there are more questions, I'll keep the space for such conversations. But if you want to access more information, free training, programs, please head over to toyinyumesiri.academy. Just copy it into your browser. That's actually the web address. Thank you so much. God bless. That's it. I'm going to be closing the room unless I missed anything.